A migrant center in Libya is filled to capacity as African hopefuls wait to go to Europe. A new United Nations campaign is giving children a shot at life. And more scandals and surprises as a new season of House of Cards streams on Netflix. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. Tonight, there is no let-up in the tens of thousands of migrants seeking to reach Europe via the Mediterranean Sea from launching points in Libya. Hundreds of the migrants from across Africa are now waiting in a Libyan holding facility in deplorable conditions without aid and health care. Many say they will not give up their long and dangerous trek until they reach Europe. An official at a migrant center in the Libyan city of Misrata warned of a looming disaster. He said there are no funds and infrastructure to care for the people traveling from across Africa on their journey to Europe.
There's no medical care in this center. There's almost no aid coming from either the Libyan government or from the international aid agencies. There's no specialized medical team here at all.
The center used to be a school, and now up to 100 people are assigned to each of the 8 rooms. There are only 10 toilets available for the entire group to share, and the overall conditions are deplorable.
We have not received any funds for the past 3 months, and the number of illegal immigrants is increasing. If we stop working, I'm sure that a disaster will happen. If the center is shut down, there will be a disaster.
Some of the people at the facility say they prefer to stay rather than return to their own countries.
I
do not wish to return to my native country. We have no country. Our homeland is full of starvation, death, and killings. If you send us back, they will send us to jails, and then they will send us to fight in the wars. I do not want to go back to my country. I want to go to Europe. All of us here want to.
A Somali woman says most migrants would find their way back to Libya even if they were returned home.
If they send me back to Somalia, we will come back again, using the same route until we get to where we want. There is trouble in Somalia. We are tired of the war there. I will not go back. If you let us stay in Libya, we will work in Libya. We will go anywhere, but we do not want to go back to Somalia.
Among the hundreds of immigrants at the center are 260 males from Senegal, 238 from Eritrea, 17 from Somalia, 43 from Gambia, 28 from Niger, 34 from Sudan, and a few from several other African nations. There are 64 women at the facility, and most of them are from Eritrea and Somalia. Officials say among the many concerns is lack of security personnel at the center. Well, for more perspective on the migrant situation, John Millman joins us live via Skype from Zarzis, Tunisia. He is a press officer with the International Organization of Migration. Now, Mr. Millman, welcome to Africa 54. The people we listened to just in my package say they will go back to Libya even if they're sent back to their own countries. Do you see a solution to this problem?
Well, we see lots of solutions, short-term, middle-term, and long-term. Right now, IOM is very busy helping as many people as we can take the opportunity to go back to their homelands. Many are choosing just that solution. The Senegalese migration evacuation is going on. It's the reason I'm here in Tunisia tonight. We managed to get 133 men through the border from Libya late last week, and we're going to do about a similar number in a few days here. We know that there are hundreds of thousands, literally, of vulnerable migrants, but quite often people say exactly what we heard on your report, which is that conditions are so terrible at home, they will try to leave again. And will they really come back to Libya? It's not clear. But the other thing we're working on as a middle-term solution is greater safe passage, more humanitarian visas, more openness on the part of the world community to accept migrants so they don't have to face such dire, risky choices just to find safety and a way to make a living.
Now, where is the conversation at this moment, especially among the Europeans? Because the European Union has been, trying to grapple with this particular issue.
Well, Europe was warned by all the parties late last year that there would be some significant changes when they changed their border control policy, we know the Mare Nostrum was an extremely aggressive, ambitious, and to be praised humanitarian effort to rescue people in the Mediterranean. Last year, over 170,000 people were rescued or received at sea by Italian authorities, and we knew that this showed the scale and the size of the population that was trying to leave Africa for Europe. That was scaled back, and immediately you started to see much bigger groups of migrants coming towards the coastline and trying to get to Europe. Fortunately, the deaths have not reached the numbers close to the numbers of the rescued at this point. We know of about 400 people killed in the Mediterranean this year, compared to 36 all of last year. But more important, the number of people that are crowding the boats to get out of Libya and get out of places along the Mediterranean coastline has come close to 8,000 for the first 2 months, and that's about twice last year's level. And this time of year is usually a very slow time, so we're concerned that Europe's going to have to deal with this head on, in the weeks to come, because clearly what we have now is too dangerous.
Well, thank you. We'll be watching the situation there, and thanks a lot for joining us today and giving us those perspectives. Joel Millman is the press officer for the International Organization of Migration. He joined us via Skype live from Tunisia. Well, government leaders gathered in Brussels Tuesday for a high-level international Ebola conference. Their discussions centered on how to rebuild West African nations whose economies have been devastated by the deadly virus. Now, the World Health Organization says the Ebola crisis has killed nearly 10,000 people and infected almost 24,000 others. Several West African leaders were in attendance, including Sierra Leone's President Ernst Bai Koroma, Republic of Congo President Denis Sassou Nguesso, Guinean President Alpha Conde, and Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. The number of Ebola cases has fallen off sharply in recent weeks, but President Sirleaf says the impact of the outbreak is still being felt.
The disease struck down the best in our society: doctors, teachers, mothers, religious leaders, those upon whom communities depend. It robbed us of our ability to care for others, that which defines our own humanity.
Well, the World Bank has projected that the three hardest hit nations, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea, will lose $1.6 billion in income this year, over 12% of their combined economic output. Just 2 days after 14 people lost their lives due to flood waters, the island nation of Madagascar is still being pounded by rain with no let-up in sight. The rising water has displaced over 20,000 people in the capital city of Antananarivo. About 50 homes have been swept away and large tracts of rice fields have been destroyed. The Madagascar National Office of Risk Management has issued a red alert for more flooding that will likely be caused by heavy rains in the coming days. Well, in Nigeria, acute fuel shortages have paralyzed transport and businesses in Abuja and other main cities ahead of the country's general elections. Long lines of cars have formed outside various petrol stations across the country, causing traffic jams on main roads. Fuel stations in Abuja blame the situation on not being able to load products from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation depot. The scarcity has affected many motorists who say their livelihood is suffering. While freelance writers in Kenya are cashing in from those who may not want to put in the hard work for their academic research in the United States and Europe. For a fee, Kenyans are increasingly writing assignments for students abroad. VOA's Gabe Joslo reports on how this practice raises all kinds of ethical issues.
On the University of Nairobi campus, talent is on sale. Signs like these advertise for researchers or online writers, code words for a service writing essays for paying students at universities around the world. Agri Iso has been in the academic writing business since 2010. As a freelancer, he can work wherever he wants. He gets his assignments through websites that post requests from students around the world.
This one is writing. Then the course level here is college, level 1, 2, freshman, or a sophomore student. And then the topic category is business. The title is International Business. And then there's a number of pages, because you're paid by the number of pages you write.
He says he has written assignments for undergrads, master's students, even the occasional PhD.
And the topics are broad. Social sciences, the sciences, especially biology, law, business, marketing, psychology, sociology.
The work calls for a degree of creativity. Iso once had to write a first-person experience for a student trying to get into a nursing program in California.
Actually, you have to put yourself into his or her shoes and be creative. Yeah. In fact, the client was from India. I remember she was from India. She was a lady from India. So she had to give reasons why she had to leave all the schools in India to come to that particular institution.
Writers can choose their assignments on websites like these. This one is registered in Kenya, actually. And you can see here I can choose an undergraduate level essay in chemistry, 8 pages long, due in 30 days. This will go for a little over $90. And now, while the Kenyan writers are doing nothing illegal here, clients who use this service are breaking pretty much the most essential rules of academic integrity. And students who are caught using this would probably face severe consequences at most universities. Pauline Chepkwani is a former academic writer and University of Nairobi graduate with a degree in sociology and a master's in international affairs. She struggled with the ethics of doing this type of work.
If you look at it from a moral or ethical perspective, it's kind of, it's not right.
But she says the pay was good, and in the end, it helped her to be better at her own studies. Writers here say the business is booming, a sign that clients abroad are increasingly outsourcing their work to talented students who are truly finding African solutions to Western problems. Gabe Joselo, VOA News, Nairobi.
Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, expanding access to vaccines. A new UN campaign aims to give children a shot at life. Stay with us.
I wanted to present music and a side of American culture that is most important to me, that is a part of who I am. They're going to get some incredible performances. That's one of the things I love, bringing these artists in so you can get to see them do what they do. It's soul music, and that's what music is. It's that which comes from the soul.
Well, it's time for our health report, and joining us now is Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Madou with a look at vaccines. Hello, Lino.
Hello, Vincent. Well, the World Health Organization says every year vaccinations protect an estimated 3 million children worldwide against diseases like measles, polio, and pneumonia. But not all children have access to the vaccines they need. The WHO says about 1.5 million children die each year from vaccine-preventable diseases. Over 15% of these mortalities occur among children under the age of 5. Experts and advocates are gathering this week here in Washington, D.C. to rally the American public, members of Congress, and civil society partners around the need to expand access to vaccines to children in developing countries. The Shot at Life is a campaign spearheaded by the United Nations Foundation. Now joining us here in the studio for more on the subject is Felisa Hilbert. Felisa was born in Mexico, where she worked as a registered nurse in impoverished rural areas and participated in many vaccine campaigns. Now she lives here in the United States and is an advocate for education, poverty, and global health. She's also very active with the Shot at Life campaign. Felisa, welcome to Africa 54.
Oh, I am very grateful to be here and very excited. I just love this campaign. Shot at Life is something who was very nice to me, close to my heart, because as a nurse in Mexico, I work in these rural areas with people who don't have access to vaccines. Mm-hmm. And being there, I saw kids dying from very easy vaccines like diarrhea, kids will die and will come to our clinic. And when we want to take care of them and we don't have enough vaccines, they will die for that. And I remember feeling powerless to not be able to do what I need to do in my college too. And of course, when I moved to the United States, this memory is still alive, and I became very active.
And that's what really got you involved in this campaign, being an advocate and educator. Now with the Shot at Life campaign, this campaign started 4 years ago, and you've been involved from the very beginning. And what type of difference has this campaign made as you look at the type of work that you've done, advocating, and everyone that has been involved?
It has been a huge difference because I remember coming 4 years ago, and we were like 45 champions to create awareness and this diversity and make sure that the people knows more about that these things are happening. The vaccines are not very accessible to people in other countries like we had the privilege to have here. And now,
4 years later,
4 years later, I can see that we have raised money, 5.8 million to raise vaccines for that.
So 15.8 million.
That's a huge point, huge difference. And that means are saving lives of mommies that I remember in my experience meeting mommies that will walk for miles to get there because the vaccines were not
there. And you also traveled to Uganda where you were able to see firsthand some of the work that is being on the ground and some of the issues and the challenges. Now, when you look at the experience that you've had in Mexico, being a country also that has some challenges, what can you tell us in terms of commonalities and what you've learned from them?
It was like a flashback to the past because I don't practice nursing for almost 15 years over there. And I remember going to Uganda and going to, with the UNICEF, that was a privilege to be, and see that what I had been done here, advocating and raising funds, it was working. Because they invited us to be in a health fair family outside churches and mosques. And the similarities were so amazing. I saw the same families, the same faces. I saw the still doctors going to a very close room with a funnel to check the babies. And I was thinking that was 20 years ago, but they don't have the resources. But the difference between Mexico and in Africa, and especially Uganda, is that every 20 seconds a child is dying there. And I remember in Mexico, we don't have that statistics. And 1977, when we don't have the rotavirus vaccine, we had 800 people die from diarrhea a year. But we're talking about every 20 seconds.
Every 20 seconds,
And that's a huge numbers. My heart was, I just feel so compelled to say what I'm going to do when I go back, because we need to change these statistics. This is something who really everybody should know. That we need to get involved and make sure that these vaccines get to everybody, no matter where they were born.
Absolutely. Felisa, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insights in this. And that was Felisa Hilbert. She is a nurse and an advocate with the Shot at Life campaign. Now, an anti-Ebola drug being tested in Guinea is showing some encouraging signs in treating the disease. The drug is called favipiravir. The antiviral medicine is showing early signs of effectiveness in its first human test against Ebola. Medical charity Alliance for International Medical Action, ALIMA, conducted the trials in Guinea. Augustin Ogier, the Secretary General of ALIMA, explained the parameters of the drug.
It has no impact on people who are already very sick, with what we call high viral loads, but it has an impact on the mortality for people who are not very sick. And the mortality went from 30% to 15%. So we don't have enough patients to say that it's statistically significant, but it's a very strong message to say that it can be efficient and it can really help to cure the people if they come when they are still not very early in the Ebola treatment center.
The outbreak of Ebola has killed close to 10,000 people across West Africa over the last year. The number of new cases has plummeted, but officials say much work needs to be done before the virus is snuffed out in Liberia, Guinea and Sierra Leone, the three worst affected nations. Ogier says he hopes the drug will help.
We hope that it will reinforce the confidence link between the affected populations and the health centers that are treating Ebola, because people now will have a strong message saying that there is a treatment specific for Ebola and that the mortality is going down in the Ebola treatment center.
The Guinean government has authorized the use of favipiravir in some Ebola centers, but Dr. Matshidiso Moeti, who recently took over as the regional director of the WHO, says more research should be done.
The fact is that a trial is currently being conducted on this drug. The results of the trial to enable WHO to recommend that it starts being used. I think it is still in the process of being looked at and considered, and I'm sure as soon as WHO has the information, we will, if it's appropriate, recommend that it be used and considered in the same way that was being done for some of the drugs that were being used on an emergency basis.
Favipiravir was developed by a subsidiary of Japan's Fujifilm to treat the flu. No negative side effects were reported among 80 patients during the Guinea trial for Ebola. The trial was sponsored by the French health research body Inserm Envisaged. Researchers wanted to test at least 120 patients, but drop in Ebola cases in Guinea has made that difficult.
We're starting to do some of these trials at the time when the number of cases has gone down quite a lot. So in fact, it's not as it would have been much easier earlier in the process when there were many more cases. Then you quickly get a sample size that enables you to assess what is the effect. So now, we're at the stage of the epidemic where there are relatively few cases. This is probably one of the factors.
Currently, thousands of doses of favipiravir are available compared to other experimental drugs for Ebola. And that's our Africa Health Report for today. Back to you, Vincent.
Well, Lenore, thanks. And be sure to watch Lenore Madu's health reports every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Africa 54. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. One of the most addictive shows on Netflix comes roaring back. We'll be right back.
We must get the number of cases down to zero.
I think overall the consumer sentiment is definitely much lower.
This one?
Why not giving you an option on a most precious item actually on this planet, water?
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Now, if you were trying to reach your friends in the U.S. this weekend but had no luck, it's possible they were binging on Season 3 of House of Cards, the Netflix original series which follows the intrigues of the now U.S. President Francis Underwood and his devious First Lady, Claire, was released in its entirety on the streaming site midnight Friday. The new season has social media fired up, according to the leading global information and measurement company Nielsen. 203,000 unique authors sent 373,000 tweets in its opening weekend. Well, next up, is this a new trend in press conferences? Well, in cinema's first ever holographic press conference, the holograms of actor Hugh Jackman and South African director Neil Blomkamp fielded questions from the Spanish press in Madrid, which the real-life Jackman and Blomkamp answered sitting in a hotel in Berlin. It's fitting that such a futuristic method was used to promote Chappie, the most recent sci-fi film by the director of the Oscar-nominated District 9. Last month, movie fans went wild on social media when word got out that Blomkamp will be directing the next installment in the Alien series. Well, and finally, a pop superstar accepts a chilly challenge. Lady Gaga plunged into the icy waters of Chicago's Lake Michigan on Sunday at a fundraiser for the Special Olympics. The singer's fiancé, actor Taylor Kinney, carried her into the water on his back. Thousands of others also made the plunge, with many dressed in costumes. The air temperature was a frigid -7 degrees Celsius at the time of the plunge, and that is what is trending today. Now, on the tropical traffic-packed street of Accra, a crew of young Ghanaians are revolutionizing the nation's concert industry. Mel Bailey has more.
Ghana is known as a West African powerhouse for concerts and live events. Cyril Gadago is a member of a freelance audiovisual crew who are striving to amp up Ghana's production value in order to compete with what they've seen coming out of London and the US.
Most production houses don't run monitors like we do. They run the monitors from the front of house engineer. But in England and Europe, for instance, they don't actually do this at all. They don't run it from the front at all. Or you have a monitor engineer on the stage. But in Ghana, it's different. The way we work is different. And people see it like too expensive. So they don't really go for that. But it's the best.
These 12 freelance engineers aren't discouraged when most venues choose to book the cheaper option. By making just a few technical adjustments they learned from putting on events at their local church, they're quickly gaining traction and booking the largest events in town.
It makes it very simple. Musicians are more comfortable when they are playing on stage. So if the person has any problem with the monitor, it's easy to communicate with the monitor engineer to sort it out for him.
Last year, Cyril's team was behind the production of 8 live events. This year, they're looking to double that number. This is Mel Bailey for Africa 54, Accra, Ghana.
Well, that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching, and from all of us in Washington, have a good night. We are able to touch on things that are important to people on an everyday basis. Hello and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. In a lively half hour, news, sports, health, lifestyle information, comments from our viewers. Africa 54, the best for Africa, about Africa. Join us only on VOA.